I have a great question for you today. The question is, what did you learn new today? Think about it. Because if you want to evolve, if you say that you have a growth mindset, you have to show it. So you need to learn something new every day. Because if you don't, what will happen is you're going to stay at the same place, same state, the same you forever. Is that what you want? Welcome to my channel. My name is Alain Faber, and on this channel, I always share with you tips on how to learn, and learning new skills is the ultimate tool to make the world a better place. I believe in you. I want you to believe in yourself. Now, I was thinking today about the fact that it's a new school year, and you know what? The learning curve has been quite a bit because I volunteered for the virtual secondary school. So what happens is I'm trying to get all my notes and all my thinking from face to face with students to an online environment. Is it easy? It sounds easy. It is easy. On the other hand, I have to learn so many more things every day that I just feel happy to stop and reflect and be part of nature, because I always feel there's so much to learn that I might not be able to make it. Now the question is, you don't have to know everything all at once. All you have to be able to do is to figure out what you want to learn, and once you know, to do one step at a time. I've shared that with you before. You use your agenda to plan times to focus on projects. You are listing all the parts of the projects, and when it's done, you break it down in small steps, and then you do one step at a time. It's easy. Even if the project is very, very big, it's something you can do. And instead of thinking that you have to learn a big amount of information, you just look at the little steps and you focus on learning something one little step at a time, and you can get where you want to go. I remember a few years back when I was a geologist. I was based out of two small towns actually. One was in northern Ontario called Salton. The other one was in Quebec, north of Trois-Rivières. And what was interesting was they were the towns that were, one was about 200 or 300 people. The other one was about 600. And the beauty is once you get there, you realize how life can be great. Because people there, they know their neighbors, they know what they're doing every day. There's a sense of safety of knowing what you know. Now, when I was doing geology, there was 8 geologists that showed up for one summer, and that was disrupting a little bit the city or the town, because from 600 they became 608. With 8 outsiders with beliefs, who were going to restaurants. We were going to, there was a pub where we could go and play pool. And the beauty of that is that they were meeting new people. People that were not there just passing by to fill out a gas tank. They were there to stay, and we learned from them and they learned from me. One of the aspects I loved the most was that one of them decided to build a telescope. And it was amazing because he lived far from town, far from any cities. So when you were looking at the skies, you could see the Milky Way. And with his telescope, it was amazing because he built it. He had it by his house. He built an observatory, and that was his thing. And it was beautiful because he had the time, and that's what he wanted to do. Now in the city, and when we're very busy with social media, with all the different distractions we have, we tend to forget that sometimes when you focus on one thing, you can become very good. And when you become very good, you can master that skill. And that's part of learning. You can learn something new every day through social media, or you can focus on your vision. And you could decide to do whatever you're doing, whatever work you're doing, whatever money you're earning, whoever you decide to meet is in line with your vision. And that's what we did that summer. I met this person, I loved astronomy, he loved astronomy, and there was a connection there. And it was a great summer. So that's why learning is such an amazing thing. Because it's not just learning about knowledge. It's learning about the fact that there are other people around us. And when we get to know people, we get to know different ideas, different perspective, and that's how we grow. And that's part of a growth mindset. What are the other stories I had written here? There you go. When I was a geologist, I worked out of Sudbury. And the beauty of that is that I was speaking French in English. So I became very quickly responsible for projects in Quebec because I could speak French. And then again, I learned enough English to get the job for that company, but my French made it that I was a very important part of that company. Because instead of them hiring someone who spoke English and then hire someone who spoke French, they actually had one person who could do the work they needed to do. And they had a good idea of all the projects in French and in English. Think about that. Instead of hiring two people, they hired one person. And that's why we say that it's important for you to learn two languages. A third one, if you can, that's even better. Or a fourth one. Look at people living in Europe. The countries are so close by that they know several languages. If you go to the States, same thing. A lot of people are bilingual with English and Spanish. Many people are speak French. Many people do know different languages. I remember a few years back, I was talking to one of my students when we were discussing geography and world population. And he knew Mandarin, he knew English, and he was in my French immersion class. And I was talking to him about if you think of someone who can speak Mandarin, English, and French, he can speak to, we looked at it, it was more than 4 billion people he could communicate to. Think about that. For someone who is in business, any business, if you have the opportunity to communicate for more than 4 billion people, think even if a small fraction of that could make any business successful. So that's why learning a language is quite important, and that's why I joined Toastmasters, so that I could improve my English speaking skills. The same way I try to keep up with my French, and if one day I can, I might try to learn a different language. I know that I spent a summer learning Spanish before I went to into Costa Rica. I did, what else did I do? In university, I learned some German. I forgot those two languages, but I'm sure that if I sat and thought about it, that would be something great. But for the moment, other languages besides French and English are not my priorities. My priority right now is to get all the knowledge I can so I can be successful as a teacher for my students in the virtual high school. That's exciting. I'll keep you up to date with all the learning that I'm doing as we are going through. So I have 3 tips for you on how to make sure that you learn something new every day. My first tip is for you to think about last week or last month. Is there a time when you told somebody or yourself that you did not know? You know, when someone talked to you and they get to you and say, they ask you and you say, well, I don't know. A lot of the time when we say, I don't know, we just leave it there. We don't try to find the answer. We just, if that person wanted to know something, I don't know it, just move on. What I want you to do is remember one of those parts. And I want you to try to figure out, okay, is there something that you could have learned from that experience? And that's my second tip. I want you to figure out what you could have learned last week, that if you did learn that, you'd be so much better right now. Think about it. There's always sometimes 1 or 2 people asking you information. You say, well, I don't know. Or you just redirect the person to another person. It's very good to redirect somebody. But if someone asks you the question a few times, how about you learn the information needed, you get the necessary contacts, the necessary context, so that you can answer the questions that people have for you. That'll be amazing. Because on top of learning new things, you'd be able to help more and therefore make the world a better place. And we always want to aim for that. And my third tip is to learn it. So figure out when you said something last week and you said, oh, I don't know. I want you to remember, okay, what I have to learn to make that happen. And third, I want you to learn it. I'm not saying that you have to learn about everything, but there's some aspects of life you just have to be a little bit curious, and you notice that there's a lot of things you could do to get better at your job, to get better at school. And you know what? If you can get better, you can bring more value to the people around you. If you can bring more value in your workplace, you can have a better, maybe a promotion or a better salary. If you're in a school and you know more and you can bring more value to what you're doing, you can get a better grade. If you're in a relationship and you can bring more value to the relationship, you'll be able to nurture that relationship a bit better. So these are all aspects of why it is important for you to figure out when in the last week you did not know something, that you can figure out what you have to learn, and third, learning it. I believe in you. So my call to action is the following. I want you to, for this week, to be more curious. Just listen to people around you and pay attention to the information you know, and I want you to help. And I want you to pay attention to things you don't know and try to see curiosity can bring you to more situation, to more perspective, so that you can bring more value to people around you. Don't forget, we want to become more valuable. We want to have a growth mindset. We want to be a better person because ultimately we want to make the world a better place. On this, I'm going to put here on the side a link to my playlist video on learning and on building new skills to make sure that we make the world a better place. I'll see you in the next video.